right to this. You know the routine. Click the like button if you like what you hear. Share it. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed so that you can keep up with the content that's going on. We're in the process right now of developing a content schedule that will consider a number of different topic genres, I guess is a term that I could use to describe it. That's going to be a day where we're going to address social issues from a very technical, data-driven perspective. Then we're going to deal with issues from a surface level, so we can talk about how people feel, what things are going on. And then we're going to have a day where we address all the BS that's going on social media, in the media, with celebrities and everything, and talk about how it impacts the community. But what I want to talk to you about today is, to me, one of the issues. It's an issue, but it's an issue that's a microcosm of a much bigger issue, which is at the core of why we struggle as a people. You have heard me say over and over again that we are where we are because we don't understand how things work, and because we don't understand how things work, we are always being manipulated, controlled, oppressed, and mishandled by the people who do. Now, I've been on this series about individualism, about how it's negatively impacting us. And anybody who's followed me for any time now, I've been on social media for 14 years now, but I've been doing this for 30 plus. And anybody that has followed me before I got on social media, anybody that has worked with me or had me speak or has listened to any of my lectures understands that I work from data-driven perspectives. I have my own opinions, and I'm just like any other person. I have emotions I feel. I'm not emotionally driven. I don't act based on my feelings. I act based on responsibility and what I understand and what I know. I use my emotions to let me know what reality I'm dealing with, but I try to manage that. So, in essence, there is a difference between an emotionally driven opinion and a data-driven opinion. There is so much, and I'm all for opinions. I want to know how you feel, because again, that's information that lends to the data I collect to be able to conduct studies, evaluations, and measurements, and build metrics and scales and all this stuff that has to be done to understand all this stuff. But please understand that if I say something, even if it's an opinion, it is an educated opinion. It is an informed postulation. It is something that I have given consideration to. It's not based on how I feel or what I like. Everything isn't about what I like. Everything isn't about what's politically correct. Everything isn't about what's socially accepted. It's about what's best based on certain criteria that determine what's best. What will elevate us intellectually, academically, socially, politically, economically. And so these are mechanisms. So then you have to ask the question, how does this impact us in those areas? And so I talked about individualism, and a couple of things I talked about got a lot of pushback because we're in this live and let live thing. It's the cool thing to say, it's not my business. Well, when you say it's not my business, a couple of things happen. I don't have to hold anybody accountable, and nobody can hold me accountable. So we are all out there in this antinomianistic state, which means I do whatever. Everybody's doing what they want to do. Nobody's accountable to anybody, but unfortunately, we are literally designed, we're social creatures, we're mammals. Learned that in elementary school, that humans are mammals. Mammals are social creatures. We depend upon one another. And if there's a social dependence, there's a social construct. If there's a social construct, there have to be codes and situations of how behavior takes place in order for everything to work itself out. There has to be roles, there has to be responsibilities. just doing whatever the hell you want to doesn't work in a social construct. Look at any other species that are mammals, that are social creatures, and see what happens when one of the herd, or one of the pride, or one of the flock starts tripping. They get handled to the point of death. Why? Because it impacts the entire flock. It's no individualism. You want to go individualism, go off way somewhere where you're actually alone and nobody is ever going to be in touch with you. The only way your actions don't impact anyone else is if you're in a place where you're never ever. And then it still impacts someone else, because there are people who know you that miss you. There are people who know you that know you're somewhere tripping on an island some freaking where. And so you still are impacting people. But okay, so anyway, the last thing I talked about was this new trend of men wearing pearls. And here come everybody. It's just fashion. It's just wearing something. Why do you? And what we don't understand is what have I been literally teaching on and writing on for the entire time that I've been on the internet before social media. What have I been talking about? The identity crisis, especially with young black males. I created Black Men Lead because we aren't properly socializing young black males. And when you start to blur the lines of manhood and it moves over into areas of things that can be questionably associated with or reasonably associated with female behavior, it does something on a neurobiological level. This isn't just how I feel or whatever. It goes beneath how you feel. It goes way deeper than how you feel. It goes way deeper than what someone has a right to do legally. And it starts to talk about the social ecosystem within the black community, specifically what we're talking about here. That ecosystem says that there is absolutely nothing I get to do that in some way doesn't impact someone else. So I have to be responsible for how I impact the whole, because if I'm going to be pro-black, then that means being pro-social within the confines of my blackness and in the black community. That means that I am responsible to more than just myself. Even if I'm single, not married, and no kids, I'm still responsible to more than just myself. Why? Because my actions impact the lives of others. It's almost like running a red light. You're running a red light, but bad things can happen. You know, you can run it and you may not even get a ticket, but the chances are you're increasing the risk of harming someone. And so that's the thing I'm talking about. So when I'm talking about pearls, and then here you come. Well, pearls have only been associated with femininity for 100 years, and nobody said nothing when men start wearing earrings. Well, literally, first and foremost, again, you can trace men wearing piercings, including earrings, over 7,000 years. It's in hieroglyphics all over the ancient Middle East and in Africa. Kemet is literally riveted with it, and so it's not the same situation, and there still has to be an understanding of how it's viewed and how it's operated. My whole thing is there has to be a pushback on it, even if it can't stop. If you can't stop it, there has to be a voice of reason. So you can sit up and you can talk about whether it's acceptable or not, whether it's something that should be done or shouldn't be done. But there has to be somebody that's going to sit up and say, you know, back in my day, the men would call out the BS. Didn't mean the BS didn't exist. It means that men have to stand up and defend the things that they hold dear. And now what happens, and this is where I'm going to piss some of my sisters off, and I love you ladies. What happens is when we men who are really on the front line, who stand up, who move, who operate, who do everything we can to hold down the fort as men, as husbands, as fathers, when we step up and say that's some BS, here y'all come attacking us. You need to evolve. You need to stop being so judgmental. Remember when this, and the thing is, men are defending a position and a place, not just in a fashion sense, not just in a fashion sense, not just in what is socially acceptable, but in the course of a soul identity that's always being threatened. We are always having something pushed upon us that feminizes our image. And I'm not talking about homosexuality. I'm talking about heterosexual black men are constantly being pushed towards an effeminate presentation. Why? Number one, it makes other people comfortable. We are in our very essence, for whatever reason, naturally intimidating to most. And I know the reasons. I know most of the reasons at least, but we are naturally intimidating. So what happens? They want us in a place that's non-threatening to them. They also understand that the more they move black men towards a image that isn't easily acknowledged or recognized as masculine. This isn't about what you can do as a man and can't. It's what image you present, because the image is what's being taken in and perceived and assessed by our children, by our women, by those outside of us that are measuring how vulnerable we are. And so when you sit up and you move over enough to where you have this ambiguity about the presentation of who we are, there's a question on the edge of masculinity, we become vulnerable. We also, and the crazy thing is, the very women I see co-signing this won't date a man that wears pearls. But you're constantly co-signing that it's okay. Well, every time we push that and co-sign it and say it's dope, it's fly, man, I like your freedom, I like your fashion, your liberal sense of fashion and all that. But then nobody is going to get with him and trust him to lead them, trust him to cover them, trust him to protect them, because he's presenting in the feminine. And you can say what you want to. And yes, men have a feminine side, but their feminine side is useful for specific things. We operate in our masculine when we're out. We're hunting, we're gathering, we're providing. We act in our masculine when we're out waging war in a world that's inherently hostile towards us. We act in our masculine when we are in the defense of our women and our children. We act in our masculine. Our feminine side is for us to turn off that warrior when we come home, so that we can be soft enough to be received by our women, so that we can be soft enough to love and reach out and touch our kids, so that we hang our swords up at the door. That's what that's for. It's not to be out presenting ourselves out in places where we need to be demanding respect. We need to, in some instances, demanding fear, and sending a message that this stuff, whatever this stuff is that is negative and counterintuitive to black progress, this stuff is not going to be tolerated on my watch. We have to be respected when we say that. Are we respected wearing pearls? And I know it's a small thing, Doc. If they want to wear pearls, let them wear pearls. That's the problem. We have given and given and given. It's pearls here, it's skirts there, it's a kilt, well, whatever it is. You're not Scottish. You're not Irish, or whatever ones wears the kilt. You're not that. And then it's all these other little givings. We don't have to be in the home. We can co-parent. And we're constantly giving, and the disintegration of the family and the values that would normally be inculcated into the minds of our youth inside of the home from masculine and feminine energy is lacking, and the decision making is skewed, and the expectations are off kilter, and we don't understand why. We have a responsibility to sit up and say, okay, yeah, it's good to have freedoms, but you have to ask the question. That's what responsibility is about. That's what adulthood is about. It's about sitting up and saying, yes, while I have the liberty to do it, is it good? The freedom to do something and doing it are two different things. See, having the freedom to do something means that I have a right to do something you can't stop me from doing. Doing it then triggers the consequence. See, there's no such thing as empty action. Everything has a consequence or a reward. There's no such thing as an empty action. When you do something, something is coming out of it. You have ignited. Every action is a representation of energy. You're releasing energy with every action. Energy is going somewhere. It's going to do something. What are you releasing it to do? What energy are you releasing? What does your energy say? You cannot escape it. You can talk about it. You can get mad at me. You can tell me I'm outdated and antiquated. You can tell me a whole bunch of things, but actually I'm miles ahead because I'm talking about quantum physics. I'm talking about spiritual energy. I'm talking about universal consciousness, and I'm talking about the universal laws that govern everything around us. I'm talking about psychology beyond the mind. I'm talking about things that I've spent my life studying. And so when I sit up and I talk about this, it's because I've spent years seeing the impact of what's going on. Do I know everything? Hell no. I don't come close to knowing everything, but every day I'm devouring more information. Every day I'm analyzing more data. Every day I'm studying and looking at what's going on because I want to be a source of solution for the enigmatic issues that plague the Black community. But we can't sit around and continue to be ignorant. I keep telling you, we keep losing because we don't know how things work. We are moving and operating based on emotion. They are dealing with us based on science. Say what you, they are triggering. They are, I mean, from everything from posts that you think Black people are posting to a whole bunch of other things going on. And it's all with the mindset of manipulating and controlling the Black mind and the Black thought. When they can manage and control us, everybody else, they got a way of dealing with them. They reward some and they do others. And somebody said something that is really and truly important. We've gotten to a point to where the people in power who want to see us misdirected, who want to see us fail, who want to see us go in spaces that are not going to be conducive to our advancement, literally devalue the people with the answer, devalue the people with the high standards, devalue the kings and queens, devalue the scholars and the intellectual gifted, devalue those who have the ability to create solutions, and they elevate the worst that we have to offer. Think about the people who are being praised that are Black right now. And then measure the ones that, if you're really honest with yourself, are not our best representation. Think about how many of them are being elevated in entertainment and in music and in all of these different things, while there are some remarkable people talking about some unbelievably remarkable things, and they are devalued, they are pushed, they are isolated, they are ostracized, and they literally reward and bless what can only be referred to as erroneous behavior in the Black community, because the goal is to disrupt and destroy. And we are sitting on the cuspis of a pivot of where we're either going right or left, and one way is salvation and elevation, empowerment and growth. The other is utter destruction. And we're going to have to make a choice. We're going to have to stop thinking that we can laugh, play, giggle, party, dance our ass out of this. We're in a damn coma when it comes to awareness of what's going on around us. And we think we're alive because we're out, we're partying, we're turning up everywhere you look. And all kind of things are going on underneath our nose, and we are completely oblivious to it because we won't sit down and pay attention and then learn and then work together and to develop strategies. You know, the amount of time that I've spent while simultaneously running my companies, researching and building in the Black community, I don't have casual time. I have time where I unwind like I'm about to do now. But even then, there's going to be some serious discussions that take place because I surround myself with people who want to be difference makers. So we have discussions, but it's in an environment where we can unwind in some way. And sometimes it still gets extremely intense because we know what's at stake. But I thank God for a drive to want to be better. I'm not better than anybody else, but I want to be the best version of myself. And I want us to be the best versions of ourselves, because if we achieve that, we will be a problem. We will make our presence felt. We will shift the entire axis of power. But we are going to have to do it. It's not gonna happen because we're capable. It's not just gonna come to us because the potential is there. We're gonna have to seize it, and it's gonna have to be an intentional act of seizure. And so that's my final statement on it. Look, I'm gonna get ready to get out of here. Look, if you believe in the work we're doing in research, in program development, in advocacy, in our schools, in our jails, in our community, domestic violence, mental health, mental illness, and so much more. I just finished speaking yesterday at the Sunrise Project on generational trauma. I'm going to be doing an all-male event on April, I want to say 17th or the 18th. I'm gonna let you know for sure tomorrow. But I'm doing an all-male event for the Sunrise Project. It's gonna be on their platform. That's an own platform. Not my choice, but it is. When I say own, I mean the OWN network sponsors this, owns the, is the producer of the podcast. So it's on OWN podcast. But I'm gonna be hosting an open session for Black men, where we can come. Won't be any women on there, won't be any of the female officers or employees from Sunrise. They're totally turning the platform over to me for an hour. So hour and a half, we're going in, we're going to talk about things that we need to talk about as men. We're going to really truly be open. There's no judgment. Everything is open for discussion. We're not there to tear each other down. We're there to empower and lift each other up. And here's the thing: if we can make this thing pop, they're going to give me this on a regular basis. So on a monthly basis, we're going to be able to come together. We're going to be able to do something as men, something that you don't find anywhere. Is one of the reasons they're doing it. And literally, they're looking for the funding to make this thing big, so whether we can really do something. So this is an opportunity for something really big to happen. But again, we've got to get on one accord. We've got to make sure we're doing the things we need to do, because right now we are failing miserably. On that note, look, I'm gonna get ready to get out of here. Look in the description box, and you can see how you can give. You'll also see some of the other resources that are there. A link to my most recent book, which drops in a couple of weeks. You can pre-order it now, and that is Healed and Whole. And you're going to see a lot of things I'm talking about with quantum physics, epigenetics, dealing with generational trauma, but also dealing with other elements of your health as far as fitness and nutrition. We're going to go whole hard into that. So we're talking about mending from your psychology and your emotions on down. But anyway, look in the description box. If you believe the work we're doing, show some love and give. On that note, I'm out of here. You guys have an unbelievable remainder of your day.